Hello, everyone. I'm really excited to take you through the new 15.3 release. We've been listening closely to your feedback over the past few months, and we've packed in some really exciting updates that I think you're going to love. For the purpose of this demo, I've grouped this release into 4 key areas, and I'll walk you through each of them with some live demos along the way. First, under the applied AI, we've continued to expand our AI capabilities. We're introducing the new video parser and context-aware assistant. Both, in fact, actually are designed to help you extract and interact with information faster and more intelligently. Second, in the area of collaboration, we're making teamworks more seamless with inline commenting, inline editing, and a brand new delegator proxy feature. So your teams can stay productive even when key contributors are away. Third, for document control, we've added powerful tools like file translation, signature placement and approval templates, PDF table of content, and a more consistent download experience, all to help streamline document handling and review processes. And finally, under governance, we've introduced mass cycle setup, allowing users to configure revision cycles and even send documentations for approval in bulk, a real-time saver for large organizations. So in the next 45 minutes, I'll walk you through these updates, move back and forth between the presentation and the platform, and show you how they actually work, and share a few examples of how they can make users' day-to-day work easier and more efficient. So let's start with our first category, applied AI, and take a close look at the new video parser and context-aware assistant. So to explain the AI video parser, I should say that it is about making processes and procedures from video source, whether it's a recorded training session, a demo, or a walkthrough. You can simply upload your video and you let the AI take over the work. This dramatically reduces the time it takes to capture and document processes, and actually gives your team a faster and a smarter way to transform know-how into tangible, actionable workflows. Additionally, I should also note that we have now a context-aware AI assistant, as I mentioned, that draws from the full chat history. It now knows your context, can keep up with you in a conversation, and allows you to do follow-ups with no breakage. This leads to a more accurate, relevant answers that feel seamless and intuitive. We have also made preview functionality of the sources more intelligent and adaptable to the content of the object, meaning if there's a physical file, you will get the direct preview of the physical file as opposed to documentation detail page. We have also introduced 2 new system settings, whereby you can not only hide or show the chat, but you can also align the appearance of the AI chat assistant with your brand's identity. You can customize the button's color gradient to create basically a gradient background that reflects your branding style. Now, in fact, let me switch to the browser to show you some of these use cases I explained. Going to the platform, the first, I want to show you the AI video parser. So in order for you to be able to use that feature, you need to be a creator, meaning you need to have minimum right permission because you're actually creating a process inside the platform. And the only thing you need to do is you navigate to the process module, and inside any process set or any process level, in case you want to create a sub-process, the only thing you need to do is you can actually right-click on the set level or on the process itself, as I mentioned, and you have a new option, parse video. And the only thing you need to do is to upload your video. You don't even need to sort of pre-prompt the system because it's already pre-prompted in the sense that it already knows what you want to do with this feature, which is creating a process from the procedure or procedural video that you have. It means it takes into consideration all the gateway decision-making, all the tasks that it requires, any role or asset that needs to be taken into consideration for any of those tasks. In addition to that, you're going to be having description for those tasks or for any sort of activities that are being created. So for the purpose of this practice, I have one airport security procedure video. It's a short video that explains how airport security sort of procedure pulls through from the time that passengers get into the airport and up to the time when they're going through different boarding procedures. And the only thing you need to do is to upload the video, and you can simply click on parse and let the system do the work. It takes about a few good minutes in order for the process to be generated. Until then, I can actually show you the improvements that we've done for the chat assistant. So the chat assistant is always available on your screen. In case you want, you can actually turn it off based on the system setting is an admin decision that I already explained. But the improvement that we made is that now it actually understands your context. What do I mean by that? Let's just say we can do a quick scenario here. You are in you just joined the company as a new employee, and you are asking for a vacation policy. You can either use keyword or you can actually ask the question in a natural language. In this example, I'm just going to ask what is the vacation policy of the company. And if there is such information, as you're all aware, it's contextual. Basically, it pulls information from your documentation inside the platform. So if there is such information about vacation policy, it pulls those information and creates a synopsis or perfect summary of those information, and it gives you the response. However, the improvement we did is that now it's not one query at a time, meaning you have the possibility to do follow-ups with it because it already knows the topic you're discussing with it. So in this example, let's just say I asked about vacation policy, and now I want to know, is there any differences between different locations? So I want to know basically, is there any difference between the policy amongst different sort of offices in different locations? And if there's such information, it actually pulls that information. As you can see, yes, there are some differences. United States, United Kingdom, India, and Germany, they have different sort of policies when it comes to vacation. And at the same time, you still have the option to check out the sources from which these information are being pulled from the source section. You can always preview them if you want. You can actually go to those documentation using the go to object sort of button. And another improvement that has been done is that now it understands whether you want to switch your context as well. What I mean by that, it means that now if I want to switch the topic to something totally different, it actually knows that you are doing that, what is the purpose, and it actually gives you an appropriate response accordingly. So let's just say for the purpose of this practice, I want to know what are the 7 principles of auditing. And I've already uploaded the ISO 19000 standard inside the platform. So there is such information inside, so it already knows. It should give me a response based on the query that I'm asking. And as you can see, it actually lists 7 principles of auditing for me. And again, just like I mentioned, it still has the capacity. You can still have the ability to follow up with it if needed with this specific new topic. Let's just say I want to ask a follow-up about which principles emphasize the need for auditors to act impartially. And it actually knows your context, and it can provide, there is actually such information inside, so it already knows your context as well, and it's supposed to actually pull the response based on that specific sort of question that I'm asking. And as you can see, it's actually putting the response. You can always have the option to look at the sources. Just like I mentioned, now it's actually smart enough to know if there is any physical file behind those sources. It actually pulls those physical files first. So if you preview, you always see if there's a PDF or Word. And if you want, you can actually go to the specifics or the details of these documentations through the go to object as well. And now going back to the process, so the process the AI process that I asked the parser to generate is already generated. And you get a notification as soon as you go to that specific process. You see that I didn't even prompt it for having a specific name. It's already smart enough to know what the name of the process is. And as you can see, the process has already been generated with all the tasks, all the decision-making gateways that were required, alongside any specific role or assets that were required to basically be assigned or associated to those specific tasks that are created. Everything has already been set up, and if you scroll down, you can actually see that for every activities, from the events to tasks, you'll have always a description. If required, there are some snapshots appropriate to those specific tasks that have already been taken and have already been attached to the process. So this could be not only a good starting point, but also it could be a great a starting point for you to actually create your own processes. You always have the ability to edit these processes if you want in order to add more sort of information to them, or you can actually tweak the diagram to your liking. Moving on to the next feature, we made it actually easier for teams to collaborate and make changes when inline commenting and object editing. Now you can give real-time specific feedback by adding comments directly to the rich text. It is a feature available for all end users to collaborate, so it's possible to collaborate even within publish mode. Additionally, you can turn any discussion into change requests from the comment threads directly. Not only you can add comments, but also you can make quick edits as well. The only thing you need to do in your object detail page is to simply choose between one of the three options, viewing, reviewing, and editing. And you can continue using these functionalities. In fact, to show you how these sort of inline commenting and collaboration feature work, let's walk through an example. What I've done is that I've created a scenario with 4 team members, and we have David as the author of the documentation, Ali as the documentation owner or accountable, Linus and Suzanne as the collaborators as well separately, and then use this setup to demonstrate how they can work together more seamlessly, adding inline comments, making quick edits, managing feedback, all in real time without needing to switch between different tools or losing context. So let me go back to the platform. And what I first would like to show is I would like to log in with the author, aforementioned author that I mentioned. And I want to show you some of these capabilities. So from now on, as soon as you basically log into your platform and go to any object detail, now you have on top right three options that you can choose from, and depending on those selections, you can do different things inside the detail panel. The first is the viewing, which is the regular view, and this is only for consuming information from your detail page. However, if you want to start collaborating, meaning you want to add comments, you want to see other users' collaborations, or you want to escalate things, you simply switch to reviewing mode, where now you have a new comment panel added inside every rich text area that you have inside your detail page. And what simply you can do here is to not only read contextual comments, because each comment is created contextually from a highlighted portion of the text. The way that you can actually achieve that is you can basically, once you toggle to reviewing, you can highlight a specific portion. As a standard practice, you have an add comment, and as soon as you click on it, you can actually add your comment inside the rich text area. And basically what you have different sort of functionalities defined for each of these comment cards. You should be able to delete your own comments. You can also actually reply as well if you want. And there are different functionalities we define for these cards, as I mentioned, that you can achieve them through the 3-dot menu on the top right. So basically, you can delete your conversations if you want. However, you should not be allowed to remove or delete someone else's conversation. You need minimum delete permission in order for you to be able to do that. So if I were to delete this specific confirmation, this specific collaboration thread from Linus, I should not be able to do that. I'm not authorized to do it. Also, I should be able to edit my own comment as well, meaning if I had left a comment, I should be able to edit that if required, and I can simply save it. And also you have two other functionalities that I'll define shortly, which is resolve and raise the CR from the thread. But before that, I want to show you the inline editing and how basically inline editing works. So we have a third option whereby it actually simplifies the whole process of editing and a documentation detail. And simply you toggle to the editing mode, and now you have the functionality to edit any rich text area that you have inside your detail page. The way that you can achieve that is simply by hovering on the title of the rich text area, and now you have a pen icon, so that as soon as you click, you can trigger the editor. Alternatively, you can also double click on the rich text area, and you can achieve the same result, meaning you can trigger the editor and you can make your edits if required. And as soon as you click out, it actually saves your progress and it actually creates a new draft version for you. And also this functionality is also defined for names, for name section as well. Simply, you can just either double click on the name portion, or you have the pen icon next to it. By clicking on it, you can trigger and you can actually make the changes if required. And simply by clicking out, you can actually save your progress. Going back to the reviewing, for me to show you the two other functionalities that we have defined for the comment panel, one of them is actually resolving. So let's just assume you are the author of the documentation and you have read basically the collaboration thread, and you realize you can actually make those quick edits that are required, and you can actually resolve the comment right away. So as soon as you do your edits, you can come back to the reviewing, and you can simply resolve. When you resolve a comment, we're automatically creating a closed collaboration topic in your collaboration module. This way, you can actually track any resolved comments. So as soon as I confirm, it automatically creates that closed collaboration topic, and you can actually access that through your collaboration panel. However, you have to filter to basically to those closed collaborations. And as you can see, you can actually find that close collaboration topic that I explained. So this is basically the comment you resolve. The subject is pretty self-explanatory. It tells you where this collaboration is coming from. It's resolved comment from a field description. You have a record of all the comments and replies, and actually you have the information about who actually resolved the comment as well. The second option that I wanted to also explain was raising a change request. Let's just say resolution of a comment immediately is not an option. You need to actually escalate an issue. You actually need to notify the documentation owner for a bigger change. So what you can do is you can actually raise that specific comment thread and escalate that comment thread through raising a CR. And what it does is basically it automatically triggers a collaboration topic from the type CR or change request, which automatically triggers the workflow for the change request that we have defined, meaning the documentation owner or documentation accountable will receive a task. So in this example, I think Ali is the object's accountable. So if I log in, with Ali, as you can see, I have actually received a change request notification for me to either approve or reject. So I can actually see the escalated comment thread, and I can act upon it if required. And this is basically the workflow that you are all familiar with. And I need to note as well that all the permissions across the platform for the users are enforced already for this specific feature as well, meaning you need to have minimum write permission in order to be able to have access to the editing functionalities. Also, at the same time, we have made available commenting and collaboration across all user base, meaning every user, even those who have only read publish, can actually collaborate, meaning they can comment, they can read collaborations, and they can escalate issues if required. Moving on to the next feature, you can now customize the placement of approvers and approvers e-signature in approval docs. This will allow you to have different configurations across various document templates. You can use reserved signature sections, such as the last page, or immediately after a specific heading, or inject signatures directly into defined text boxes anywhere on the page. This text box injection is especially useful for approving forms or contracts directly within the tool. Overall, this will help you create cleaner, more professional documents that not only look good, but also meet your organizational layout requirements. In addition to that, we've also introduced a delegate feature. You can now assign your approval and endorsement tasks to a colleague, ensuring projects stay on track and deadlines are met. Any tasks created while you're away are automatically routed to your delegate. It actually ensures nothing falls through the crack, even when at the times that you're away. Note that you still have the flexibility to complete them yourself if required. And plus, there is an audit log available, which gives you full visibility, clearly showing who delegated each task and who completed it. In fact, let's have a look at how this sort of new feature, delegate feature works with an example using the 5 users that I've already defined. And I've actually wrote a scenario here. So let's just assume for this demonstration, we have David, who has assigned Linus as his delegate, and we have Linus, who herself has a delegate, which is Ali, and Suzanne and James, and they are already they're already part of the approval cycle that we are going to define, and they don't have any delegate. So what I'm trying to do here is that I want to switch to the platform first, show you how you can assign your delegate, and then set up the cycle. And then I can show you how this sort of dynamic or the relationship between delegates actually works out especially at a time where you have different or complicated relationship as I defined here. So first, in order for you to be able to assign your delegate as any user, what you have to do is that you have to go to your My Profile and you have to scroll all the way down to the bottom where you have a new section called Delegate Assignment. And for delegate assignment, you have to be aware that you can only assign one delegate at a time, so you can't have multiple delegates for different time frames. So for the purpose of this practice, I reassign, as you remember, I said David is supposed to be Linus. It's supposed to be having Linus as his delegate. So you can simply assign the resource who has access to that environment as a delegate, in this example, Linus. And you can actually assign a start and end date. So you can give a period for this delegation or proxy feature. And you can always let this to be an ongoing assignment. So you don't really need to define any end date. But if you want to end this delegation, you have to come back to My Profile and delete that if you want this assignment to be ongoing. So I assigned basically Linus as David's delegate. Also, just to make sure, just like I explained, I wanted Linus to have Ali as her delegate. So I will do the same for Linus. I've already assigned it, I wanted to just make sure. So Ali is Linus's delegate. So I now would like to log in as an admin to trigger a cycle. So I would like to go to the same object on which we were collaborating with these users. And I would like to show you the cycle that I'm going to set up. So I'm going to set up a cycle in a serial order. And this is the order in which I want the users to receive their task. Something to note here is that the way that I'm orchestrating this approval cycle is that, if you remember, I said Linus and Ali are delegates. So Linus is delegate for David and Ali is the delegate for Linus. But also at the same time, in order to just spice things up a little, I added Linus and Ali as separate original assignee to the approval cycle. So they're not only delegates for other users, but also they have a task on their own to be done. So I saved this cycle. And before I actually send this for approval, if you remember, I also talked about the signature placement in your approval doc. So now you have the flexibility to assign your signatures anywhere in your template that you want. So for this specific example, I went a little bit outlandish. And if you remember, before 15.3, so in 15.2, you were only bounded to put your signature in the second page. But now with this new tagging conventions, you can actually put this tag anywhere in your templates, and that will be the starting point of all your signatures. Meaning, if you're assuming to be having 6 or 7 signatures, wherever you put this tagging conventions, that will be the starting point of your signature, and they will be listed accordingly. Not only that, but you have the option to assign the number of signatures in one line. What do I mean by that? I mean that if you, in this example, I have put 3, it means that I would like to have 3 signatures in one line. So if I wanted to put 4, then I would have ended up with having 4 signatures in one line. And if there is more than 4 signatures, the fifth would actually start from the second line, and it moves ahead. So I've actually uploaded this to be my approval doc inside this specific example. And I actually send this object for approval. And before I actually start approving on people's behalf, I want to show you how the banner or the stepper would look like. It usually takes about a few seconds to be generated because of the approval doc that is being generated. So if I open the approval banner, as you can see, if you remember the order, we had David, then Linus and Ali, and then Suzanne and James. But if you remember, it's a serial, so it has to go in serial order. So first, David receives this task. However, David has a delegate, which is Linus. So we have a line item for Linus. However, if you remember, also Linus has Ali as her delegate. So we have a new line item for Ali as well. And if you remember, just like I said, Linus and Ali themselves are part of the cycle as original assignee. And also we have Suzanne and James that they will be receiving their task whenever it's their turn. So just to show you one specific example, in order to show you how smart the system actually is in terms of not double counting or not double voting, I would like to approve with Ali. So I'm going to sign in as Ali and approve. So if I approved on behalf, basically on the part of Ali, Ali is a delegate of Linus. So Linus's vote will be skipped. And since Linus is David's delegate as well. So David's vote will be skipped as well. So no longer they're needed in the cycle if Ali approves. It's still, they would have the option to approve if they want before Ali, but if Ali does the task on their behalf, so they're no longer required. And since Ali is approving on behalf of Linus, then Linus in her turn is no longer needed, and also Ali in his turn is no longer needed. So all of these will be handled accordingly, and we're not counting any vote twice. So if I approve with Ali, as you can see, all those previous assignees are going to be skipped, and the next user will be Suzanne and James in the cycle. So as you can see, David has been skipped, Linus has been skipped, and Linus in her turn, and Ali in his turn have already been skipped. So the next person is going to be Suzanne, and the next is James. So if I log in as Suzanne and actually perform the task as this specific user, and then if I log back in as James in order to perform a task for him as well, which is not going to take too much time in this example. As you can see, the cycle is now closed and the approval cycle is done, and all the tasks have been, all the approvers have been considered. And if I actually show you the approval doc in this example, if you remember, I assigned 3 signatures to be in one line, and I assigned the signatures to be in the first page of your approval doc. And as you can see, they have been curated as I desired here. Let's move on to the document management and governance category. Next is the PDF table of content. This is an interactive table of content that makes navigation inside PDF smoother and faster. With just one click, you can jump directly to the sections you need. It actually streamlines your document review processes. The table pops up in a format of a dynamic tree structured list right in the right section of your preview table. Major sections are clearly visible. You can expand or collapse them to dive deeper into specific subsections. Additionally, we have the file translation feature. Now you can automatically translate uploaded Word and PDF files in seconds directly within the document edit form with no need for separate uploads to keep your global teams aligned. Simply, you can switch the language in the document edit form and click on the translate button. With this built-in translation, there is almost no need for manual effort or third-party tools. It's just a smooth, integrated workflow that keeps content consistent across languages. Note you can also preview the translation before committing to it, so you don't have to save the translation. Additionally, EPC now verifies that all uploaded files match your true file type. It actually prevents misleading or unsafe content from being accepted. For example, if a file labeled as PDF, it must actually be a PDF with no hidden formats or mismatches. This actually ensures every upload is exactly what it claims to be. Admins can also define which file types are allowed, such as Word, PDF, giving you full control over what enters your environment. Moreover, now every downloaded documentation, including physical files, especially including physical files, will also automatically match their current EPC documentation name. As you're all aware, with documentation going through edits, translations, or updates, this actually prevents files from retaining old names, so you always get a document with the most relevant up-to-date titles. And building on the conditional attribute feature we introduced in our previous release, we've now taken it one step further. You can now set up customized roles and categories. With these new dynamic roles, the system automatically figures out which roles and resources need to be involved based on the selected category. So you no longer have to manually adjust who gets included. Always the right people are added to the workflow automatically. You can also define which attributes should be mandatory, optional, or hidden, depending on the category of the documentation as well. That means users only see the fields that are actually relevant to what they're working on, keeping everything clean, simple, and efficient. And lastly, we made it easier to manage approval and endorsement at a scale. With the new mass action and bulk management features, you can now send multiple items for approval or endorsement in just a few clicks. So there will be no more repetitive submissions. This means you can handle several items at once, which could actually streamline your workflow and save valuable time. And now you can also update review dates, set frequencies, assign reviewers from multiple documentation at once for revision cycles as well. Whether you're working with just few items or managing large volumes, these enhancements help you stay efficient and consistent with minimal effort. Now let's go back to the platform for one last time to have a quick look at some of these features. So what I'm going to do is start by setting up some category-based conditions and create a document in the platform to showcase these features that I explained. So if I log back in as my admin credentials, as I'm sure most of you are aware, you can actually create your custom attributes, your type and categories on the system, basically system-wide in the system admin under the attribute section. However, you can define conditions for them on the environment, and it actually gives you more flexibility to have different conditions depending on which environment you want to be in. So for the purpose of this practice, I've actually gone ahead and I've actually created a new category system-wide, which is called regional documentation standard, and I've attributed to the document module. So if I go to the environment admin under the attribute, now this is a place, there's a new table called define category condition approval workflows, whereby I can actually define the conditions for that specific category that I defined. So if I search for regional documentation standard in this table, I now have an edit button here, which I can actually define those conditions. As soon as you click on it, you have a modal panel where you can define who could become approver of those documentation in case that category is selected. Not only that, but also you can define which attributes, whether it's a custom attribute or not, to become hidden, optional, or mandatory. So for the purpose of this example, what I'm trying to set up here is that I'm saying if regional documentation standard category is selected, when I'm creating a documentation, I would like the cost and delay attributes to become hidden. I don't want them in that specific documentation, but also at the same time, I want region custom attribute to become mandatory. Also at the same time, I want David and Suzanne to become the approver of that documentation that I created. So there will be no manual effort later on if I want to set up the cycle. The cycle will be set up automatically when I select that category. So if I save my conditions and I actually go ahead and create a document from scratch, and let me actually create a document with a PDF file. So I can drag and drop my PDF file here, and I can actually give it a quick name and select the location where I want to save this specific document. So the first thing that I want to show you is the condition that I set up for my custom attribute. So if you scroll down, you have a section called the default custom attributes. And under the category section, if I search for the new category that I have created, regional documentation standard, by selecting this, what I actually expect to happen in my edit form is that the cost and delay attributes to become hidden, they will be removed from my edit form as soon as I select that. Also, at the same time, I want the region to become mandatory in the sense that you have to fill that out, otherwise you can't actually save your form. So as soon as I select that, a specific category, if I start scrolling down, those two attributes are already gone. In addition to that, my region attribute has now become mandatory, meaning if I try to save it, the system doesn't allow me, so I have to fill this out before saving it. So it becomes a mandatory field, and I fill this out for this purpose. And now I should be able to save the documentation. So going to the documentation itself, if I go to the edit form, now if you want to edit your document, you always have the option to preview the documentation. In case you want to replace it or everything, you don't need to be on the object detail. You have that option inside your edit form as well. And now you have the option to translate this specific PDF for any language that you want to cover across your organizations. And by that, so let's just say for the purpose of this practice, my content is in English, my PDF is in English, and I want to have a record of that in my French section of my edit form. Simply, I can switch. And if you scroll down, you have a translate file at the bottom. As soon as you click on it, it actually translates the PDF file that you had from the language that you originally uploaded to the language that you are already inside your edit form. And you're not obliged to save this. So you don't have to commit to this. You can always preview it, and you can actually realize if it's something that aligns with your documentation guideline. If it is, you can save it. If it is not, you can always discard it, or you can replace it with something else. But in this example, it's okay. So I can go ahead and save it. Remember that you're not replacing your original file. You're just keeping a translated version of that a specific sort of main document in other languages. So the main content is still intact. And if you remember, I said that if you select that specific category when you're creating your documentation, you can actually set up your approval cycle automatically as well. And if you remember, Suzanne and David were supposed to be part of the approval cycle for that specific object. And as you can see, I didn't even add them here manually. They've already been added as part of the approval for that cycle. The only reason for that is because I have a condition on that specific category. And as basically one of the last improvements that we've done is that you can actually now download the documentation inside your EPC that has physical file with the name that they have on the EPC. Meaning, if I download this, now you can see that it always takes the name of the EPC object as opposed to take the name of the original file that you uploaded previously. And also, as the last two improvements that we've done, now on the list view of any documentation inside your platform, you have this option to bulk send for approval and endorsement, so you don't have to do them one at a time. Not only you have that option previously to set approval cycle in bulk, now you can actually send them for approval in bulk. However, you should be aware that we do validation at this point, so we don't send object for approval or endorsement if they don't have a proper cycle setup, or if they don't have a latest draft version. So we do that validation, and we sort of filter those that are not meeting the minimum requirement for the validation, and we send only those for approval that actually pass the validation. So in this example, as you can see, it actually gives you the reason why you can't actually send that object for approval. It says that published versions cannot be sent for approval endorsement. For some, you didn't have the cycle defined yet. So it actually does that validation as well. And there is also one limitation for this specific feature, and this is for those documentation whose approval cycle is signature required, meaning if you want to send 50 documents whose approval has been defined in such a way that they have to have approval documents with signatures, then we also strip them out of the bunch, because it's very performance heavy and it would block the UI for a long time. And in order to avoid performance degradation, we sort of filter those out of the bunch when you're sending objects and documentation for approval in bulk. And the last when we're talking about the mass treatment of the documentations, now you have the option to mass set up your revision cycles as well, because previously you could actually define your revision cycle information from the reviewer to frequency, start date, and deadline one at a time. But now you have the option to do bulk actions, meaning you can just simply add the select box to the first line, and basically however many documentation that you need to do, you need to define in bulk. You can simply select them, and you have a 3-dot menu on the top. And inside the edit, you can basically define reviewer, frequency, and dates in bulk. So for the purpose of this practice, let's just say I want to define reviewer in bulk for all of these, and I want, let's just say, Linus to become the reviewer for all the object that I selected. And as you can see, it's already been updated with Linus as the reviewer for the object that I've already selected. And that's a wrap to a look at what's new in 15.3. As you can see, this release, we really focus on making your everyday work easier. Smarter AI features, smoother collaboration, better document control, stronger governance, all coming together to streamline how you work. I hope you're as excited as we are to start exploring these new updates and seeing the difference they make in your workflows. On that note, thank you so much for spending the time with me today. And with that, I'll hand it back to Dan.
Thanks, Ali. Let's keep it on that screen just in case you need to show examples. We're going to move on to the Q&A now. That was a great demonstration. Thank you very much. We've got some time. Let's answer a couple of questions. So the first one, when a new comment is added to a document, are all associated users automatically notified, or can notification settings be customized?
Yes, exactly. So it can be customized and also they will be notified. So those users who are subscribers and also those users who are part of the RASI of that specific documentation, they will be notified as soon as there is a comment added. And you can also customize that as an admin setting inside this advanced. And you can basically define which one of those RASI should be notified. You can also restrict that, let's just say, to only responsible or only accountable of the documentation to be notified. You have that functionality as well.
Great, thank you. The next one, can multiple delegates be assigned for different time periods? And how does EPC manage overlapping delegations or role changes?
Well, yeah, just like I explained, basically to answer the first question, you can't. It's one delegate at a time. So basically, if you want to have a different delegate, you have to delete the previous ones. And basically, just like I mentioned, we're not going to be sort of double counting any vote. So if there are conflicting or overlapping delegate relationships, let's just say someone is someone else's delegate and that specific delegate has another delegate on their own, then we don't double count the votes. So if let's just say delegate is performing the task on someone else's behalf, and they are also part of the cycle on their own, so we don't count their voice twice, count their vote twice. They just simply approve on someone else's behalf, all the while we're considering their vote for their own as well. So there's no double voting and there is no blockage in that regards.
Great, thanks. I have a last question here. In the new task delegation feature, how is the audit trail handled? Will the system clearly show when someone delegates a task? And will it maintain the original task ownership and approvals for compliance audits?
Yeah, 100%. So we do log those information in two separate places. So for the resource specifically, let's just say you want to know that a specific resource has assigned another resource as their delegate at what time and time period, you can actually fetch those information inside the audit log of the resource inside the EPC. But also at the same time, if you want to track or see the log of the actions that have been done, so you can actually find that information inside the log of that specific documentation. It specifically mentions who has performed the task on whose behalf. So yeah, you can find this information in two separate places.